Seeing a diabetes care and education specialist can help you learn ways to manage diabetes that fit your life. We're speaking with diabetes care and education specialist Betsy Rodriguez about why getting educated about diabetes matters. Before we get started, though, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and let us know if it's your first time joining us. Betsy, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Betsy, tell us about your background. What do you do?
Well, by training, I'm a nurse, and I'm also a diabetes care education and support specialist. In CDC, I work as a senior public health advisor in the Division of Diabetes Translation. And I have been doing that for almost 25 years.
So, what initially drew you to the diabetes field?
Well, I was drawn to the diabetes field because my daughter was diagnosed when she was 8 years old. So right now she's 42. But also my brother have diabetes and my mother have diabetes and I do have diabetes. So I have been able to see all the challenges that people with diabetes are facing on day-to-day basis. And that's where the passion is fueled by those personal experiences.
How has learning about diabetes made a difference for you on your own journey?
It's good that you're using that word journey because all of us who are living with diabetes, we have the tendency to describe living with diabetes like a journey. And diabetes self-management, education, and support services will meet you where you are in that journey. Even if you are newly diagnosed or you have been living with diabetes for many years, diabetes self-management, education, and support services will help you do many things. Among all of those is setting goals. Goals are very important when you're dealing with a progressive, serious disease like diabetes. They will also help you how to eat healthy, how to incorporate physical activity, how to do medication management, how to cope emotionally when living with a chronic condition like diabetes, how to do things when your routine change. Let's say you're taking a cruise, you're going on a vacation, or things are happening, disasters and things like that. Or you're progressing in the condition and you're starting developing complications, how you're going to be managing those things. As you can see, this is a very comprehensive services, actually a proven intervention to work better for people with diabetes and helping them change their health outcomes.
So, Betsy, is there evidence that shows that doing a DSMES program, and that is such a mouthful, so DSMES is Diabetes Self-Management Education and Support Program. Is there evidence that shows these programs are proven to help people with diabetes live healthier lives?
Definitely is a yes. There's tons of evidence that it is a proven intervention for people with diabetes, regardless of the type of diabetes they might be experiencing or living with. Actually, if you look to the American Diabetes Association standard of care, you will see in there the evidence of DSMES services to people with diabetes. It can help people decrease the A1C. And what is the A1C? Is that test that really shows how well the blood glucose has been getting into the person. Let's say, for example, you get 14 as a result in the A1C. That's quite high. It's supposed to be less than 7. Well, DSMES services has been proven to be effective in helping people getting that A1C value within what is expected to keep people away to develop the diabetes-related complication. So yes, indeed, it's a proven effective intervention for people living with diabetes.
So, Betsy, is there a difference between taking a diabetes class and doing a DSMES program?
Well, people have the tendency to think that diabetes self-management education and support services is a class. But it's more than that. Think about this. Diabetes requires meal planning, requires medication management, requires the incorporation of physical activity, requires problem solving, requires cope, requires stress management, requires so many things. And on top of that, you can develop diabetes-related complications. The whole cardiometabolic syndrome, which is in plain language is cardiovascular diseases and diabetes go hand by hand sometimes. And technology. Right now, technology plays an important role in people living with diabetes. The SMES services is supposed to be to develop an individualized, comprehensive management plan for people with diabetes. So it's more than a class.
Betsy, a big priority for us here at Diabetes What to Know is emphasizing how learning about diabetes can really make someone's journey easier. From your perspective, what have you seen about how diabetes education can help folks?
One size doesn't fit all, right? And because that's absolutely true, the SMES services will provide to people with diabetes all what is needed, not only to have happy, healthy life, improve the quality of life, being able to incorporate diabetes into day-to-day activities, but also learning the things that are required so you can be as productive and healthy as possible, feeling that you can do this. And DSMES, or Diabetes of Management Education and Support Services, will give you knowledge empowerment, for example. It gives you the knowledge that you need about your condition, your medications, how to eat, how to incorporate physical activity, how to cope, doing all of those things. Then it's skill building too. You need to learn the skills that are diabetes related, like glucose monitoring, tracking your numbers, learning how to do with those numbers. It is 80, what do you do with that? It is 60, what do you do with that? Are you getting 300? Are you getting 120? What are you going to be doing with those numbers? Physical activity seems to be something very normal, but for a person living with diabetes, they need to learn how to do it. So DSMES services will help people with diabetes make a plan around all of those elements, not only knowing what to do, but also how to do it, when to do it. For example, for me coming here, I have to make sure that my blood sugar is in normal range, that I have eaten something that will keep me alert, awake, functional, so I won't faint in front of you, and be able to have this conversation in a coherent way. So that requires a lot of planning behind. When we're talking about meal planning, we're talking about the amount of food, portion control, especially if you're doing weight management, interaction between what you eat and the kind of medications that you're using, the type of physical activity that you will be using. Let's take this for example. If you inject the insulin on your thigh and you're going to the gym to do stationary bike, that means that insulin will work faster. So you even have to take into consideration where is the best place to inject your insulin based on the type of activity you're going to be doing. You will take all of those tips from the SMES services.
So, what should a person expect if they sign up for a DSMES program?
Well, first of all, this person will need a referral. We cannot forget about that. Referral is important, so the programs get reimbursed for the services they're going to be providing. They have to be a referral in place. And once you get to find out the right program for you, you have the referral in place, what is going to happen is that the diabetes care education and support specialists will do an assessment on you. They will be looking to your lifestyle, the things you like or the things you dislike, the access you may have for so many things. Right now, there's so many people that are experiencing, for example, food insecurity or have transportation issues. You know that transportation issues is one of the most important challenges that people with diabetes may facing for regular checkups. And they want to know for how long you have been having diabetes. There's the difference between a newly diagnosed person living with diabetes versus those who has more advanced experience, has been living with diabetes for many years. You, as a person living with diabetes, are going to move to step number 2, which is setting goals and objectives. And the goals and objectives does not belong to me as a diabetes care education and support specialist, belongs to the person, because those are the things that we agree together we're going to be working on, so you can progress in that learning acquisition from knowledge, skills, and all of those things that are needed for you to manage the condition on day-to-day basis. And it's also good for people to know that they have options. These programs are offered in person, but are available online too. So those are the kind of things that might be happening after you enroll on a program.
Betsy, if someone listening to you is inspired to find a DSMES program near them, what should their next step be?
I think that the first step should be talking to their healthcare provider. Ask for that referral. Right now, one of the challenges that diabetes recognized or accredited program is the fact that not so many people are using these services, despite the fact that are covered by most health insurance and even by Medicare. People are not getting the access to these services. So I think that if we can tell a message right now to people is talk to your healthcare provider. Ask them to be referred to diabetes self-management education and support services. Step number 2 is finding where those programs are located. And there are so many ways on how to do that. Number 1 is look to the American Diabetes Association, ADA, or ADCS, Association of Diabetes Care Education and Support Specialists website, or even our website in CDC/diabetes. You find there what is called a program locator. You put your zip code, and that will give you the programs that are in your state and within your area.
Folks, we will put the links to those websites that Betsy mentioned in the comments so you can find them there. Betsy, you mentioned one thing that I think we really should emphasize, which is that many of these programs are covered by Medicare or third-party insurance. So would you recommend that a person call their insurance and just find out if a given program they'd like to take is covered?
Definitely yes. All health insurance card has a customer service in the back part. That's another good step to do. Call to that number and ask if the SMES services are covered by the health insurance. There are many community-based organizations also that offer these services at no cost.
So after a person begins a program, are there any type of follow-up sessions or ways to track progress?
Follow-up is an organic process within the DSMES services. It should be happening. It's needed. Why? Because there are so many things that has to be tracked. It's not only the blood glucose level, which is very important. We want to know the trends. We want to know the timing range, meaning that you have been able to keep your blood sugar within the target range that your doctor has prescribed for you, because that's an individual metric. Weight management, for example, the weight has to be managed. A1C values has to be tracked. Tracking and follow-up is an essential service within the SMES services.
So many people feel like being diagnosed with diabetes is a death sentence. Can you talk about why that's really not the case?
Diabetes is a serious condition. It's a progressive condition. But the good news is we can manage it. And there's so many options right there. You know, from the technology aspect, from the medication aspect, the SMES services is precisely can help you find what are the things that you need in order to keep away that death sentence, which does not have to be part of the panorama. You can manage this. This is something that is completely manageable, and it's even preventable. Think about type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes can be prevented if people make lifestyle changes, like changing the way people eat, incorporating physical activity, losing weight, enrolling in a national diabetes education and prevention program. There are 4 steps that people with pre-diabetes, meaning that they have not developed yet type 2 diabetes, can be prevented. But if you have it, you can manage.
In case you're just joining us, we're here with diabetes care and education specialist Betsy Rodriguez, talking about why getting educated about diabetes is so important. And we're giving away a fantastic healthy eating on the go guide if you answer our trivia question, which is true or false? According to the current physical activity guidelines, it's recommended to get 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. Is that true or false? Put your best guess in the comments, and regardless of whether you're right or not, you will get that guide delivered to your Facebook Messenger inbox for free. Betsy, what's a typical day like for you when it comes to managing diabetes?
Well, as soon as I open my eyes, I have to check my blood sugar. That's the first thing. Because why? Because trying to manage diabetes on day-to-day basis without knowing where are you is like trying to drive a car being blind. You really need to know right at the beginning, where are you? So then meal planning, what I'm gonna be eating, how that meal is going to be prepped, when I can take it, when I have to stop because maybe my blood sugar is a little bit high. So I give my body the time for my medication to take care of it, and then I'll be ready to eat. So there's a lot of planning behind eating and medication taking that plays an important role in prepping for the day. Then thinking ahead of the kind of activities I'm going to be doing. So again, that I have to make sure that I have the food that I need when I need it, handy. Don't forget that I have to travel with all my supplies that are with me. I cannot leave that at home. I don't know how many times I left my diabetes back at home and I have to go back because I cannot do anything without having that on my side. So there is a lot of planning behind that requires on day-to-day basis. And I want to say this could become very overwhelming. So therefore, people have to find a way on keep a balance, an equilibrium between what is life and versus what is living with a chronic condition with diabetes, and how those are going to be merged, making like what I'm calling a bridge that will make me live full potential to what I want to do and still being able to manage my diabetes. Then as a result, I get that flat line. I guess that's the only time when you really want a flat line, when you see your blood sugars getting in that range that your doctor had been telling you. So it requires a lot of prep and it requires a lot of planning. And that's a typical day for everyone who's lived with diabetes.
So, Betsy, what's one surprising thing you've found that has actually made managing diabetes easier?
I think that when you find out what you need to know about living with diabetes, it makes a whole lot of difference. At the beginning, when you're diagnosed, you might feel scared. You might be asking questions that, why me? Why now? Why this is happening to me? There's so many things that might be going through the mind of a person who has been diagnosed with diabetes, especially when you have previous experiences. For example, diabetes have the tendency to run in my family, and many of them didn't have all the support they needed. And if you're coming from a family who the majority of your aunties has ended being blind, the first image that you have in your mind is, I'm gonna be blind too. But that does not have to be like that. So for me, it's getting to know how to incorporate diabetes into whatever I am doing. I can do everything I want. And I think that this is the most important message that I want to say to people. Diabetes does not define us.
Betsy, why do you make daily walks a priority?
When I learned how physical activity impacts the quality of your life, I became addictive. I go to the gym on a daily basis. This morning, the first thing I did, I went to the gym. I did my physical activity already because I don't know how the rest of my day will be ending. I might not be having time. And I has making physical activity a habit, a normal thing like brushing my teeth, taking a bath on a daily basis. That doesn't happen in a blink of an eye. It has been a journey when I have been learning how to incorporate physical activity. When you do physical activity, magic thing happens. Like, for example, our brain will liberate some sort of enzymes and hormones that make you feel better. The level of energy that I have right now, it's amazing, incredible. Let me tell you, 3 years ago, I was very overweight. I was living with obesity. Since I incorporated physical activity, I have been able to lose more than 160 pounds. That not only made me feel good, for so many aspects, I can choose really cute clothes. I can do things that I wasn't able to do before. I feel energetic. I sleep better. So many things that I used to have, like insomnia, like sleep apnea, reflux, osteoporosis, all of those things are gone. And my medicine has been physical activity.
Betsy, what are some of your favorite breakfast ideas that kind of keep your blood sugar steady and get you ready for the day?
I always like to tell people that they need to see every single meal through the plate method. And the plate method is a very simple way on how to look the way we eat. Think about 9 inches plate. You're going to divide that plate by half, and that half will be your greens. And the more color that half of the plate has, the better. The other half, you're going to divide it in half. One half will be from your protein, and one half will be from your carbs. Outside, what you're going to be having? Water. Everybody should be drinking water. Nobody needs sodas. Juices are for lows. Water. And then when you think in that way, you just want to make sure that you are including in each meal all your macronutrients. I have salad in my breakfast. Every single day, I have a side of salad. I have eggs in any given way, except fried. If they're fried, are going to be fried in water. And then I have my carb. Pay attention to the carb. Because the carbs are those macronutrients that can raise your blood sugar really, really high and in a fast way. So it's not that you cannot have it, it's that you're going to be looking to the amount you're going to be eating. So here is where portion control plays an important role, but you will like to have all of those macronutrients included.
So I know a person with type 2 diabetes who was recently told by her doctor that she was not going to be able to eat rice and beans anymore, which are her culture's traditional foods. Is it possible to incorporate foods like that into our diet and still manage diabetes well?
Definitely say yes, 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 yes. And let me tell you this. I'm from Puerto Rico. A typical dish in Puerto Rico will include always rice, will include meat, will include bread, will include tostones. But if you go to a Mexican person, the tortillas will be there. If you go to people from El Salvador, the pupusa will be there. You know, all of us that are coming from Latin country has many carbs in it. So what we need to watch is the amount of carbs. But this is something that we should not be taking on our own. I suggest that every person with diabetes be evaluated by a dietitian. The dietitian will consider your preferences, your culture, your traditional foods, the way you want to eat it, how you cook it, what amount you're going to be eating. She's going to be developing a comprehensive, individualized meal plan that will fit your needs. And yes, indeed, you will be able to include your cultural food within a day-to-day basis living with diabetes.
I know that the CDC has developed a resource called the DSMES Playbook. Can you tell us about it and specifically how it can help people with type 2 get the best results from a DSMES program?
This is a resource that has been recently launched. I led the development of this resource. And let me tell you, it's a program that has been developed with input of so many partners like ADA, ADCS, and many others. And what I like about this resource that is targeting to healthcare professionals, say health departments, and many others who are providing the services of DSMES services to people with diabetes. But there is something in this playbook that I want everybody to know, that DSMES definition, it's included in the playbook. And that definition came out of people living with diabetes. And that definition speaks to the fact that when you are accessing DSMES services, you're going to be working with a diabetes care education and support specialist. You're going to be setting goals and objectives that will drive your journey while living with diabetes. You will have follow-up. You will find the resources and the tools that you need, either in person or online, that will help you to manage diabetes in a day-to-day basis. That definition came out of people with diabetes. And what this playbook does is that equipped those diabetes recognized or accredited programs, state health department, healthcare providers, solo practices, group practices to market the resources with one voice approach. So in that way, we are helping people with diabetes access the services by knowing that these services are available. So in other ways, we'll help all of those that I already told you to promote the services at any level, so more people get to know that these services are available, and more healthcare providers can learn how to refer people to the services.
Last question. What is the number one thing you wish people with type 2 diabetes knew?
That is manageable, that there is a lot of support, and that there are DSMES services available for you, and there is a program waiting for you out there.
Betsy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. And I'm hoping that all of us that have been listening to us do if you don't remember anything that I have been telling you, but if you remember, talk to your doctor about getting a referral, find a program in your community, and learning that this is manageable, that this is not a death sentence, then I can say mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished indeed. And a big thank you to everyone watching at home. We so appreciate you being here and chatting with us in the comments. Before we go, here's the answer to our trivia question. True or false? According to the current physical activity guidelines, it's recommended to get 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. The answer is true. If you didn't get to answer the trivia question, but you'd still like that guide to eating well on the go, just leave a comment for us and tell us what you thought of the show. We will be back to you with a new episode in a few weeks. Until then, please stay safe and take good care. Good night.